Welcome to my channel, my name's Chance, and it's time to talk about some board games. We're going to be continuing my top 100 series, with today's video being on numbers 20 to number 11. Now, if you're just joining this series, then congrats, you're joined for the videos that actually matter. Because those other 8 videos I have, they're pointless, right? Who has time for more than 20 board games? These are the only 20 that matter, so the next 2 videos are the ones that you need to watch. Yeah, so let's just dive right into this, kicking things off with my number 20, and this is Bomb Busters. Now, Bomb Busters is a cooperative game. This is I think 3 to 5 player, maybe it has a 2-player mode, I don't know, but it would probably be best at 3 to 5 players. This is one where you are playing as a crew of bomb defusal rabbits, and you are going to be dealt out a number of wire cards. Depending on the scenario or depending on player count, you're going to get a number of wires, and you have a little player stand in front of you, and those wires are going to be stood up in front of you, numbered in ascending order. Now, the wires are going to be numbered 1 to 12, and there are 4 of each number out on the table. And the first scenario, there's not really any complication. You are just trying to deduce where the other wires are at the table. Because on your turn, you have a choice. Basically, you can do a snip or something, and you are trying to say like, oh, I have a 1 on my left side, I think you might have a 1 on your left side, so I'm going to say I think that's a 1. And if you manage to find a matching wire, you get to cut that wire, and you both reveal that wire. And you're basically just going to go through this. You're trying to deduce out what tokens people have out. There are a couple power cards that come out during play that can help you take risk without kind of failing, because there's going to be a certain number of failed cuts before you guys before the round ends or whatever, and the bomb goes off. So you guys not the best bomb squad if that happens. But the game ramps up in difficulty with these 66 different missions in there, and you're going to start adding in things like the yellow wires. The yellow wires are going to be numbered at like they're 0.1, so it's like a 2.1 or a 4.1. And you're going to add in a certain number of these yellow wires that are going to kind of throw off that deduction puzzle. And then once you get through like the basic training missions, you're going to add in that red wire. The red wires are the 0.5, so it's like a 7.5 or an 11.5. Basically, it just sits in the middle between some of those blue wires, the safe wires that are out there. And now your goal is that you cannot cut a red wire, because if you cut a red wire in accident, that bomb goes off and you guys have failed the mission. So the whole goal of this game is just trying to find all the blue wires out there, matching up all those pairs of blue wires, and it's just a fantastic deduction puzzle. I would say it's an imperfect deduction game, so like it's not perfect deduction like in Search for Planet X, where you are kind of narrowing down to the only possible option that you have for finding Planet X in that game. Bomb Busters, you are definitely going to be taking some risk. You're going to be saying, well, I think it's 50-50 odds that this is a 4 right there, so I'm going to take that risk and make that guess. Of course, there's gadgets and stuff that you can use to mitigate some of those risks during the game, but yeah, this is a joy to play. I find this can be a family weight all the way up to the serious hobby gamer. I feel like all groups can have fun with this game. It's relatively easy to teach, easy to table, and has a lot of variability with those 66 missions, which is nice. And I feel like the rules overhead from mission to mission, from what I've played so far, is not too bad to ramp into. Like, I feel like a lot of games that are legacy or campaign or whatever, they struggle with just having so much rules overhead every time you bring it out the box that it can be a bit of a pain to bring out. Whereas, yeah, Bomb Busters, relatively straightforward. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up for me. This is definitely one of my favorite co-op games, my favorite style co-op games. So if you watch my video Co-op Paradox, you'll have an idea of some of my opinions on co-op games, but this one lands in that hidden information, and I just love that style of co-op. Okay, let's move on from my number 20. Now we're moving on to number 19. This is going to be Endeavor Deep Sea. Now, I did a review on Endeavor Deep Sea. This is one of my earlier videos on my channel, but I really enjoy this game. This is a very colorful Euro game, and I feel like there's some features in it that make it stand out for me as a Euro game, because I'm not a huge fan of the super crunchy Euro games. I mean, I have a couple on my list, like I've talked about Gaia Project, talked about Pipeline. Like, I do enjoy some of those games, but I find that a lot of Euros are just you're doing the same thing over and over, right? You're gathering this resource, turning it into these resources, and then turning those into points or something. Like, pretty standard flow. If you've watched, I think Shut Up and Sit Down did a review on the game Golem, and they're like, it's a Euro. So yeah, Euros fall into the category where they can be very, very samey after a couple plays. But Endeavor Deep Sea, this one just stands out to me because it has some positive player interaction, and the game just gives you stuff, which is just, it's a pleasant experience, you know? So the game's gonna play over I'm forgetting the number. I want to say like 7 rounds or something. But basically, at the beginning of each round, you're going to get a new specialist, and these specialists are going to allow you to take actions. So the specialist you're going to be able to recruit, and you basically have some tracks on your player board, and that'll tell you what level of specialist you can recruit. So first round, you're just going to grab somebody, and it's going to be one of the basic guys that can do some like a simple action or whatever. Now, out on the player board, you have a few things that you can do, or out on the main board, not the player board. The main board, you're going to have a sub, and that sub's going to have a specific location. There's going to be some specific actions you can take at that location, and basically you need to use one of your crew members, so you place a little action disc on your crew member to then take an action at the location your sub is at. You can do things like, you can move, yeah, if you have a navigator or whatever, you can drive your sub around and go to a new tile, and you get like an arrival bonus for going to new tiles, so that incentivizes you to move. But you can also do things like use the sonar action, and that allows you to explore the depths, and you can kind of reveal new tiles because you're going to be building out that shared map over the course of the game. You can do things like try to publish a journal article, and that gives you maybe a little bonus during the game. And when you do some of these actions, those are going to trigger other bonuses for other players. Like publishing a journal, that almost always gives other players some bonus. Like maybe they get a little move up the track a little bit on one of their tracks on their board. So those types of things where it just has that positive player interaction, where it's just like, yeah, it's not. I feel like a lot of Euros are trying to keep you away from having fun. Like you're trying to unlock having fun in the game. You're just always being blocked from doing what is enjoyable, and you're like, oh, I gotta do this to do that, to do this to do this, and then I can have a fun turn. Whereas Endeavor Deep Sea is just like, yeah, just do things and have fun, move up tracks, have a good time. So I really like that feeling that I get in Endeavor Deep Sea. I also like revealing those tiles, seeing what comes out. I like doing the conservation actions. This is where you can basically put one of your disc out on the board and say, hey, I did a conservation action in this zone, and then if someone else does a conservation action in the same zone that links up to your conservation action, you both get a little benefit, and then you kind of high five at the table. You're like, yeah, we're saving the turtles or something. So it has one is just the joy of just getting things in the game that, like I've called out, and then it's just the theme is very. It's very friendly, it's very light, it's happy, right? It's joyful. And that's not something you get in a lot of other Euro games, like Agricola. It's just pain and suffering. Yeah, so that's Endeavor Deep Sea. If you want to see more of my thoughts on it, check out my review. Older video, so I don't know what the quality's like these days, but yeah, feel free. All right, let's move on to my number 18, and this one is going to be one that, unfortunately, I don't think this ever went to retail. It'd be probably hard to pick up, but I'll mention maybe a substitute. This is Iron Forest. This one is, I think it's out of frame here, up on my shelf here. It's a weird shaped box. It is a dexterity game, and I freaking love this game. It is just so well designed. So, with this dexterity game, you have you're a mech, and your mech's represented by it has a mech piece on there, but it has like an egg-shaped base. It's like this little round spherical base, which means it wobbles a lot. And you're going to be it has a two-tiered board, which is just crazy. You have a bottom section, and then you have a top section. Those are then segmented into their own little sections, like they have little doorways through them. And then your mech is that little wobbly dude that you're going to be flicking around this map. And you can I feel like I love this game because you can get into doing trick shots really fast in it. Like because it's on that round base, you can flick it, and then if you flick it on like one of the corners, kind of like, billiards or whatever, you can get it kind of spin around, and you can get it to curve into a different location. And for the most part, I would say I'm not very good at doing those trick shots, but sometimes they just happen, and it's just amazing. Like I've gotten my guy to curve through one door, curve through another door, go and hit one of the objective spots, and like I was like, oh, look at that. Other things you can do is like you can flick the top of this thing really hard, and then it does this little leap thing, so you can get it to jump over walls. Now, the last part of this that I need to call out is the catapult. They built a catapult where if you're in a certain section of the board, you can put your person in a catapult to go up to that second level and launch them into that zone. And this game is nice because it has a bunch of different objectives, so there's actually a scenario thing, and essentially you have the main mode is like a 2v2 scenario thing where you both play as one of the factions, and you are essentially competing to achieve your objective before the other players. Most of the things are like, oh, go through this door and you get a little objective marker. Go through this hole, you get an objective marker. Then you can do things like hit other players and damage their mechs and knock them out of the game, but then things just come right back. So it's not like there's no player elimination, there's no like total mech elimination. Essentially everything's going to just respawn, and you're just kind of slowing down your opponent. There's like the free-for-all mode, which I actually think might be my favorite way to play this game. Is essentially everyone just gets like 2 objective cards that they have to work through on their own. They're going to try to work through their first card, flip it over. They have another set of objectives on the back of that card. Then they're going to work through their second card, flip it over, and then work through that one. First person to achieve all the objectives on their objective cards wins the game. And I just find it to be an absolute joy. This is one where everyone is standing up at the table because you're constantly moving around it and trying to get the best best whatever orientation to flick your little mech into. So yeah, this is a joy. Now, like I said, unfortunately it's not in retail, but this is made by the Ice Cool team, and they do have a couple other games out there. I did recently pick up Ice Cool Wizards, which I think you can still find some copies out there, and I got it for like 18 bucks. It's a pretty cheap one to pick up. Now, I will say that it is not going to have the same amount of like joy that I get with Iron Forest. Iron Forest is like the epic dexterity game that I own. Ice Cool Wizards though still uses those round bases, and it has kind of a nice puzzly, well, it gives you a bit of an objective to go for with these things. Like you want to go through these doorways to collect these cards. These cards are kind of like, it adds like a little Euro resource management thing to it. Those cards can be used for either spells, or you can turn them in to take exams because you're penguin wizards at a wizarding school. Makes total sense, right? But yeah, so that is kind of I'm going to call that as my substitute option for Iron Forest. Like I said, not going to be the same experience. I would say Ice Cool Wizards more the family. Like if you have kids and stuff, I think Ice Cool Wizards is fantastic because it is a joyous dexterity game. So yeah, there you go. That is my number 18, Iron Forest, and I really need to get that one back to the table. I do love playing it. Now for my number 17, and this one is going to be Inish. Inish is, let's see, mixed feelings. You can get some, or well, very, very divisive game, right? Like people can either hate it or love it. I think Inish is a brilliant design, and I really enjoy playing it, but not everyone enjoys playing Inish. So this is one where there's a very clear set of objectives. Like you are playing as one of the clans that's going out on these islands, and you're trying to become the chieftain. Basically, there's no chieftain right now, and you are just kind of fighting over these different territories. Well, kind of fighting. You're clashing. So you're gonna have these land tiles, and they're these really cool shapes. They puzzle together nicely. I forget the name for this, but they like it's like a tiling pattern, and it's like this infinite tiling pattern. It just has these really cool edges that link together really nicely. The board looks really cool. The art is phenomenal in this game. I absolutely love the art in Inish. But the core part of this one is the draft. So Inish has a draft system where you have a very small set of cards, and you're going to be dealing those out to each player. I think there's only 1 card removed from the game. Depending on player count, you're going to remove some of the higher player count cards, but whatever. So there's only 1 card that's going to be out every round, and then all the players are going to be dealt their, I think it's 4 cards. Then you're going to keep 1, pass the cards around. Then you're going to get the next ones. You're going to keep 2, pass the cards around. And this is an interesting one because I believe you can take all the cards you have back in your hand. Yeah, this is, and then you can basically you can get rid of cards that you saved earlier. So if you're like, oh, I got a better option now, I'm going to keep these 2 and actually get rid of that one I kept earlier. That's an option during the draft. Now the draft is, I think this is probably one of my favorite drafts because you get to learn the cards so quickly. Like there's not a lot of cards in the deck. They're pretty easy to understand. Like I feel like there's a lot of reading in that first round, just trying to understand how these things work. But once you understand it, it's like the game runs very smoothly right after that because the available actions are very, very simple. But they're very, very important. Like being able to do certain actions at the right time is critical in Inish. So that draft is just so tense, and it's like you see this hand of cards and you're like, I need to keep all of these, and then you're like, oh, I can't pass this card to you because then you'll move into here. So you're trying to keep cards from other players, you're trying to keep the cards you need. Then there's the Geist card, which I hate and love the Geist card. The Geist card is this one that just, if someone plays it on your turn, they just cancel your action. And that's kind of annoying in a game, but the Geist card can be so critical at times. So like, and just knowing that it's out there, like knowing you passed up that Geist card and someone else could have it and they could just stop you from doing something. But okay, that draft is kind of, that is where I think Inish shines. It's definitely one of my favorite parts. Now, the next part is the actions. So players are going to be taking actions, basically adding troops on the map or adding clan members onto the map. They're going to be moving clan members in, triggering clashes, putting up citadels, putting up sanctuaries. You have a very simple set of rules for winning it. Basically, like you need to be in, I think, 6 different different territories, or you need to be the chieftain over 6 different clans, so basically have area majority, or be present in 6 different sanctuaries. So go for the kind of the religious leaning for your victory. So a very straightforward set of goals to go for. Now, what's cool about this is that every time you trigger a clash, you are gonna, so let's say you move into an area and you are moving into an area that 2 other players are in. Now, a clash begins, but something crazy happens here. It's not just like, oh, I eliminate your units, I eliminate these units, blah, blah, blah. You could go into an area and be like, hey guys, I don't want to fight. I want to have peace. And the other players now have the option of being like, yeah, peace. Let's just have peace. We don't want to clash. We're good here. Everyone's happy. Don't worry about it. But if you're like, actually, you know what? If I let you move in here, you're kind of like nearing that victory condition, and I really don't want you to do that. I need to be chieftain here, so I kind of need you to be eliminated from this spot. So I'm sorry, we're clashing. And now what happens is that player they have a very simple decision. It's like, okay, we're clashing. They're gonna choose a player, and they're gonna be like, I attack you. That player that they attack, they have to either lose a troop from the zone, or they have to discard one of their green action cards. So that is a way to stay in the game, but notice that if you're getting rid of one of those cards, you're getting rid of an action for the round, which is, oh man, it's such a hard decision. It's like, do I want to keep that clan member, or do I want to get rid of this action card? What is more important to you? And that can be such a hard decision. And then what happens, it goes to the next player. The next player, so basically clashes, it's kind of like its own little mini game, and you're gonna go clockwise order. The next player now has the option, they can be like, oh, I want to continue the clash, or they can ask for peace. They can be like, hey guys, want to have peace? That was a little aggressive and I didn't like it, so let's have peace. And then another player can be like, no, I don't want to have peace. Like, that guy just attacked me. Like, attack him back. So now they're like, okay, screw it. I attack this person. And then they have to do the same thing. And then you go to the next player. And then they're like, yeah, I'm attacking you. And then you go to the next player. So it's this crazy little mini game in this clash system where you have, you can do some of this negotiation. There's nothing to really trade, but like, I don't know, the promises, it's kind of, I call this game like the best version of Dune that I've played. Now, I love other versions of Dune, but this one is like the plans within plans. Like that quote from Dune is just like, I have these plans that are within these plans that are within these plans. And just getting things to work out in your favor, because the other thing that happens is that once someone has achieved a victory condition, they don't win immediately. They actually have to take this thing called a pretender token, and then that puts a target on their back. They're saying like, oh, hey guys, guess what? If I still have this and I still meet the victory conditions at the end of this round, I win. And everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna take you out now. And this is where those plans within plans comes out, because maybe one player's like, oh, I could stop them, but I'm not gonna let the other person know this. It's gonna be like, hey, can you help out with this? Like, if you could stop them to do this, that'd be great. While you know that you could stop them, but you would rather save your card to be ready for that other victory condition. So you let those guys fight it out, and they're like, haha, now I play my card, I move in, hey, I'm gonna take a pretender token. And then the other players are like, ah, crap, we're out of actions. So yeah, it's just phenomenal game. With the expansion, plays up to 5 players. 5 players takes forever to play, but I've only done it once at 5 players, and it was one of the most epic experiences I've had in board gaming. Absolutely love that game. So, but like I said, it is a divisive game. People are not going to enjoy it because like it does have that just tearing down the leader, right? Like taking that pretender token, puts a target in your back, people are gonna just then tear you down. Everyone's gonna go after you, and it's just bash on the leader. Which I feel like that's where Inish shines, but that's not what people are always going to enjoy. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Inish. Maybe I talked too long on that one, but I really, really enjoy that game. Okay. Moving on, we're going on to my number 16, and this is going to be another mean game, not an aggressive, combat-y, clashy game like Inish, but this is Barrage. So Barrage is probably the meanest Euro I've ever played, and I freaking love it. So in Barrage, you're going to be playing as a corporation, trying to manage these dams, trying to manage this water flow, trying to produce power, and then fulfill contracts while producing that power. It has a really nice set of mechanisms, just like it has it's kind of like a worker placement. Yeah, I would give it a worker placement / action selection, because essentially you're going to have a number of workers that you have there, but the different actions on the board require different numbers of workers to be able to trigger, and yeah, you're going to be blocking these out from the other players. So like being able to do these different actions is super important, because there's some that are just like critical during the round for you, like being able to do a build action to build a dam, or to build a power factory or whatever, build a conduit and conduit out on the map. All of that is super important. Then there's also like the limited number of produce power actions, and like the better power produce power actions will give you bonus power if you send your workers there. They're a little more expensive to send workers, but getting that bonus +2 power can be super important to achieve one of your contracts. Yeah, so just has a really nice set of the Euro mechanisms are incredibly well designed. But I need to call out that central map. That central map of the river system plus the dams. Because this is where you are going to be damming up those rivers, and you're going to be stopping those water droplets. And you can stop those water droplets from getting to other players' dams. You can essentially say, you can look at the other player, they're like, oh, I build a dam right here. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to build a dam upstream from you, and you're going to have less water now. So you can just kind of screw over other players once they do that build action. Now, dams can only stop one water droplet per level they have, so now if the other player manages, there's a way you can actually put water into the rivers, and they can be like, well, I'm just going to flood this river to overflow your dam and get some water down into my dam. Then there's other things out there like the neutral dams, which no player controls and every player can use, and building a conduit next to that one can be incredibly valuable, because the rule is that you must have a dam that you can use plus a power station that you can use, but you can use anyone's conduit. You just have to pay for it. So that's where another player might be like, you know what, I'm going for the conduit strategy. I'm just going to build conduits and everyone's going to have to pay me to use my conduits. And just the aggressiveness of damming these rivers and stealing water from other players, and also managing this little spatial flow of water, because when you use that water droplet from your dam to your power station, you actually take it, you run it through your power station, and it can come out into a different river. And then maybe you build a dam in the other river, and you actually have this little system where you're like, oh, I'm going to power this station, I'm going to move that water droplet down into this river, which goes to my other dam, which I can then use to power this other station, and then get the water out of the system. And no one else can have that water. So it has this really cool flow thing going on that main board, a very aggressive head-to-head thing going on the main board. Just, it can be very mean. Now, it's a very tight game, and I feel like some players may not enjoy this, because like getting that power produced can be very difficult, and it's one of those games where I think there's 5 rounds in the game, and you need to be like, well, maybe 2 of my rounds are going to be kind of preparation rounds for my other 3 rounds, because you're probably not going to be able to achieve the best possible score every round of the game. You're probably going to have some rounds where you produce a lot, some rounds where you produce a little. So you kind of need to work out and say like, oh, I'm going to try to do good on this round and this round and this round. And there's going to be some objectives each round, so you kind of like target those ones and say, oh, I'm going to go heavy on this one. But you need to adjust your plans constantly. You got to be tactical, because you have that shared map that you guys are kind of fighting over those resources on, or the water on. So Barrage, it is a mean, aggressive Euro game where a lot of players are not going to like it for those facts, because it is not multiplayer solitaire. It is just a fist fight around these rivers. Okay, so that is my number 16. Moving on to number 15, this is going to be another Euro, a little softer on the edges though. This is going to be Beyond the Sun. So some people know this game as Tech Tree, the board game, because that is the main board. The main board is a tech tree. You are going out, you're managing kind of like your ore resources mostly, and then you're going out and trying to unlock new techs. Now, I'd say there's actually 2 separate components to this game, because there's the tech tree part, and then there's this little sideboard that has this, it's like this colonization board, a little bit of area majority thing going on with it, which I love the tie-in between these 2 boards. The tech tree plus that area majority board, it works phenomenally well together. So first up, unlocking those techs is a lot of fun, because when you unlock that tech, you actually get to draw 2 cards based on the kind of the color, the type of tech that you are currently on. So it's like commercial or science or military. It's like military. Okay, I'm searching for 2 red cards in this tier 2 tech tree. You look at the 2, you get to choose which one you want to put down. You put it down on the board. You put one of your little tokens out there saying I researched this tech. But now you are actually determining the direction of the tech tree for everybody else as well when you research that tech, because now other people can research your tech and they can continue down that tech tree branch. Maybe they want to research a tech 3 off of your branch. So they're like, I'm going to research that, then I'm going to kind of steal your pathway down here. And it kind of has this cool feeling where it's like you're each a corporation trying to do your own thing, or a country of some sort, and you're like saying, hey, you know what, we're going to benefit. Like once something has been researched, it becomes easier for other people to research. And that's kind of how it works in the real world. Like once there's a breakthrough, right, other companies follow along with that breakthrough like pretty rapidly. And this has that feeling in Beyond the Sun. It's like, oh, I just researched this really cool thing. I get like a nice little bonus because I was the first one to do it. But then after that, everyone else can just come in and they're like, oh yeah, that's easy now. Okay, we got this. Then I like the tie into this area control board where you are trying to build these spaceships, send it out to these different planets. And if you have a majority plus you meet the threshold, you can colonize that planet, which is going to be a good way to get victory points. And everything is a race to kind of achieve these final objectives in the game. And once there's a certain number disc out on those final objectives, that's going to trigger the end game. Everything in this game just ties together so nicely. It is a very streamlined game. I find this game really easy to teach, and I really enjoy Euro games that have a good amount of depth to them that are easy to table. And Beyond the Sun is one of those games that I find easy to table. I mean, separating down each of the decks is it's a bit annoying. Like, the setup has some annoyances, but for the most part, like, this is one of my more streamlined Euros that I bring to the table, and I love kind of seeing how I build out my civilization down that tech tree, and it's just like, I forget, I think I had something like human cloning early on. It's like, oh, now I needed population, and the human cloning card was really good for me, so I was like, oh yeah, okay, now I got my population growing. And then I got to my next research on the tech tree, and it was like, I had a choice between two cards. I don't remember what both of them were, but one of them was human experimentation. Basically, I was like, well, with human cloning, I now have like a surplus of colonists. So you know what? I'm going to do human experimentation so I can kind of turn some of these people into spaceships. I don't know the science behind turning people into spaceships, but it was very effective for me. So I really enjoy kind of just the theme that comes through for me in Beyond the Sun, because I really do love sci-fi. I read so many sci-fi books that even though Beyond the Sun has a very, very poor production, there's not a lot of art assets in it, there's not a lot to look at in the game, but for me, like, I connect with the names of those cards. Like, I recognize some of the stuff from the sci-fi I've read, and I kind of build up my own story in my head while playing Beyond the Sun. So I definitely connect with the theme a lot in Beyond the Sun. Moving on, we're going to number 14, changing things up quite a bit. We are moving out of sci-fi and we are going into the art world. This is modern art. So this is a Rainier Knizia game. This is one of the highest ones on my list. I think I have one more higher than this. Modern art is my favorite auction game. Like, so that means Ra is not higher on my list, just FYI. Ra fell a little flat for me, to be honest. I don't, it has like set collection in there. I mean, modern art has set collection, but I don't know. I didn't, Raw was dry for me, sorry. So modern art, though, it is a little more chaotic, but calculating and just fun and entertaining. I always have a blast bringing modern art to the table. So this is one where everyone's going to be dealt a hand of cards. These are going to be art cards, and those cards are going to have different auction types on them. So modern art actually has a few different types of auctions. It has like has open auctions where people can just say a number and bid something. You have closed auctions where everyone's going to, or blind auctions or whatever, everyone's going to put like a certain amount of money in their fist, and then you're going to all simultaneously reveal it. You have a one-time offer auction where you're going to go around the table from the dealer, and the person's going to make an offer, and then the next player gets an option to basically pass or make a higher offer, and then you keep going around the table until everyone's done. You have a fixed price auction where the person auctioning the painting is going to be like, I am going to set it at $50, and then everyone going around the table, first person to say I accept is going to take that painting. So just the variation in the auctions is one of the reasons why this game shines. Now the other reason it shines is because when I play it, I always say, like, we have to, and I like to start with a player that really gets into this, we have to describe our paintings. We got to sell our paintings. So when you put your painting out there, you got to be like, oh, this is a piece of artwork from Sigmund Thaler. This is from her darker days, and we can see here that we have moments of depression, but we have the light coming through on this side of the painting and representing that little sliver of hope that she saw during this dark phase of her life. So we have Sigmund Thaler up for auction, and we're gonna open up the auctions to the floor, and everyone go. So bringing out kind of a little life into this game with that auction, getting into the thematic experience of modern art, I feel like is an important part of it to make this game shine. And I've had some really good groups, and I find it's easy for people to get into this. It's not like you're role playing. It is just, hey, I'm gonna look at this piece of art and I'm gonna make some sort of funny description to get people to bid on my painting. It doesn't really affect the bids, because what really matters is the scoring table in the center of the table. So in the first round, scoring is very simple. It's just like, okay, the most number of artists out there are going to score 30 points each. So essentially, if you bought the art from the majority artist, then you're going to get 30 for each one of those paintings that you bought. Great. So you know what the value of those paintings are. You're trying to bid on those, and you're like, well, the maximum value could be worth this 30, so that means maybe I'll bid 20 to 25 just so I know I'm going to make a profit on this piece of art. But things get more interesting in the second round, because you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put out those 30, 20, and 10 tokens on the board and say, like, these are the value of the paintings that you just bought, but you're going to sum the column on the scoring board. So there's going to be columns on the board, and basically if that artist was 30 in that first game, then let's say in the second round it was 20, so it was second. So it has a 30, then a 20. That means each of its paintings is now worth 50. And it's like, okay, now you really have to judge the value of this. So during that second round, you could be looking at it, you could be like, well, it could have a maximum, so it was first in the first round, so it was worth 30. If it's first in the second round, it'll be worth 60. So now you're like, okay, this painting has the possible value of 60. So what do I want to bid on this painting, knowing that it could possibly be worth 60? Do you bid 30 because you're like, well, I want to make a lot of profit, but maybe people are really going heavy on that artist, and you're like, well, I could bid 50 and make a profit of 10. So it's definitely a little bit mathy, but once you get into this, I feel like it's not that hard to understand. Sometimes people need one game of it to kind of wrap their head around it, but it's this thing where it can be a little confusing to explain, but once it happens, it's like, oh, okay. Because the other crux of this game is that if the artist does not make it into the top 3, so let's say they were first the first round, they got that 30 token, and they don't make it into the top 3 in that second round, so they don't get a token. This means that they don't sum their column anymore, they just are worth nothing, because they have to be in a scoring position to be worth anything during the round. So you can have so basically this means that artist that scored 30 in that first round, their paintings in the second round could be worth somewhere between 0 and 60. So how do you bid on those? How do you know what to bid on those? It's just such a fun puzzle trying to figure out how much to bid on those, how much you think you can value those, because you have your hand of cards and you can kind of see like, well, I have a lot of that artist, so maybe I can drive the value of this artist up. Or maybe you can convince people to spend more on your paintings, because like this is also a bit of a closed economy during the round where people are going to be paying you for the paintings that you're putting up for auction. So you're trying to put up these paintings that you think are going to be valuable because you want to earn the most money possible. Okay, yeah, so that is modern art. It is just a phenomenal auction game. A little more thematic. I feel like there's the two sides of this. Some people love Raw. They're like, Raw's the best auction game, and some people like modern art as the best auction game. For me, it's modern art. Moving on, let's move into my number 13 board game. This is going to be Lords of Vegas. Oh, hey, I love Lords of Vegas. This is I think one of the descriptions I saw is like the fun version of Monopoly. This is one where you're playing as a casino boss, and everyone is going to have you get like a set of dice. Those dice represent the power. You have a bit of it's an area of control kind of game. In the beginning, you're not really competing with other players. Like, you're going to have your own little zones. Everyone gets dealt out their own little zones on the board. You're going to put your little casino tile out with your little dice out there. You also get your lots. Actually, I think you're dealt out lots to begin with. And then essentially you're going to build casinos. You're going to pay money on those lots to build up your casinos. And then you're going to earn income from those casinos. So if you are the casino boss, I believe you earn victory points, which is what you're going for. So you want to be the boss at casinos. But also, if you are present in casinos, you're going to earn money per pip that you have. So per pip that you have in that casino, you're going to earn, it's like in the million. So 1 million per pip that you have. But those casinos are only going to score and only going to pay out based on this little action deck or casino deck that you're going to reveal a card, and it's going to be like green casinos. And then you're going to score green casinos. And you know how many cards are in this deck, but it also has a bit of a variable end state. You don't know how many cards are buried in the bottom of the deck that aren't going to score, so you don't have a guaranteed distribution, but you're going to be able to see how many cards come out for each casino. So you're kind of playing this probability game of saying like, well, I think we haven't seen many green casinos yet, or maybe I just said green. So let's say we haven't seen many gold casinos yet, so I think I'm going to build a gold casino because I think there's a higher probability of gold casinos coming out and paying out more and giving me victory points during this game. And yeah, and then of course you get screwed by probability and you never see a gold card, and you're just sitting there like, why is this not paying me any money? Why am I not making any money from the gold casino? We've had like 7 green cards come out and no gold cards. It makes no sense. Yeah, that's usually how Lords of Vegas works for me. Now, there's other things that happen in this one is that point tracker, you're going to be able to move up 1 point at a time, but then there's going to be some barriers. Like it's going to be like, well, now there's a 2-point jump, which means that you have to score 2 points to be able to make it over that barrier. So if you score 1 point from a casino, or if you score 2 1-point casinos, that's not going to make it over, because you have to score 2 points in one casino to make it over that barrier on that score track, which means that you now need a size 2 casino. So you have to actually build out your casino a little bit more. You need to have a size 2 to be able to score into that one. Then there's going to be some barriers that are going to be a 3-point barrier. So now you need a size 3 casino. And you can do things, you can either expand in that 2D plane, or you can go 3D. You can actually build up these stacks. You can build your casino up with these risers or whatever. And those risers are so expensive because you have to raise the whole casino if you're raising it. Like if you have a 3-tile casino, you have to build 3 risers to raise that whole casino. And each riser is going to cost you a certain amount of money. I think it's like 5 million or something. Either way, very costly to build out your casino. Now, the last thing that is just a blast in this game is that you can go gambling in other people's casinos. You can be like, hey, you have a bunch of money. I'm going to go gambling at your casino, and this is just, you're playing one round of craps. You're going to roll some dice and see if you manage to win or not. It's in the house's favor, so I think there's like whatever 43% odds that you're going to win, and like 56-7% odds that the house is going to win. So yeah, I have definitely wrecked some people by doing that gambling action, because I've been like, you know what, I need like 20 million, so I'm going to gamble like 10 million at this person's giant casino, because there is a limit of how much you can spend at a casino, and it's like that was going to be the next player, so they needed the money to take their turn, because there was going to be no way that they're going to earn money, basically. So I went gambling, I rolled Snake Eyes, which Snake Eyes pays out double, so it was just like, I just stole a boatload of money from this person, and then they were just wiped out for their turn, and they're like, wow, I can't do anything. So it definitely has some meanness to it. It has, well, I can say it can have some negative experiences for people, although I feel like if you have the right group and they can kind of roll with those punches and just go with that probability and enjoy that experience of rolling dice, because I forgot to call out like some of the best parts of this, is that like when you merge casinos, you can do this combat for power. You can do these power struggles where essentially you take all the dice in the casino, everyone takes their own dice, everyone rolls their dice, and then they refill the casino, and basically whoever has the highest die is going to be the controller of that casino. So you're always going to get paid out for being president of the casino, but whoever has the highest die is going to be the one that actually controls it and gets victory points for that casino. And you can actually pay to actually do power struggles. You have to pay per pip on every die in the casino, so it can get pretty pricey basically, but you can be like, well, you know what, I want to be the winner of this casino, so I'm going to pay to have us all re-roll our dice. And that means that if you manage to get more of your dice in one of the casinos than another player, you have higher probability of kind of coming out on top of that roll, but it is still random. You're still rolling dice in this game, but I just find it to be an absolute joy. It is it's a pretty simple game. I feel like the rule book is not great, but it is a simple game to play, and like I said, it is the fun version of Monopoly, because it is going to an end. You're going to reach the end. It has a lot of randomness and who's going to win the game. I mean, there's definitely strategy in it, but you are just trying to kind of judge the probability of what cards are going to be coming up. Just Lords of Vegas is just it's a blast around the table. I feel like everyone I've introduced it to has a good time, and I just find it to be a joy to bring out and play. So that's going to do it for my number 13, Lords of Vegas. Moving on to number 12, and this is going to be Concordia. So Concordia is this might be my only beige game. I'm pretty sure this is my only beige game this high up. Beige games, I generally believe, don't belong this high, but Concordia is just so well designed that I love playing it. So Concordia, you are traders in the Mediterranean in ancient times of some sort. I don't know, you're trading like wine and wheat and bricks and iron. Yeah, so, but it has this shared map, and once again, I love games that bring out the shared map that have some sort of player interaction in it, because you have the shared map and you're going to have these traders, plus when they're either going to be people or they're going to be boats, and basically each one of these things can be on like a path connecting 2 cities. Now, what's cool about this is that only one person can occupy that. You can leapfrog people, so like if you have a person on this one path, no one else can stop on that path that you're on, but they can leapfrog you to get to that next path. But that means that you're kind of locking down zones. You can actually be like, well, I care about these 2 cities, so I'm going to lock down this zone. I don't want anyone else to be able to build on these 2 cities. So you can try to prevent those people from building on those cities and force them to go further out and find somewhere else to build. Now, the way this game works is that I call this well, actually I called it the Concordia card system, but I think this is used in, so Mission Red Planet, this is used in Aquatica, and basically it is a hand management game where you have your hand of cards, and you're going to play one card in your discard, and then you also have one card in there that's going to be like your refresh card. It's the card that you play, you're going to take all the cards from your discard back in your hand, open up all your available actions again, and there's going to be some other thing you can do on that turn, like build a new colonist or something, but you're also, so it has that fun hand management puzzle of trying to manage those actions. Now you also have a card in there that is, it's like a counselor card or something, and it basically allows you to copy the top action of another person. So it helps you out, like you can kind of manage things on being able to figure out like when do you want to play that card to take advantage of someone else's card, so you can kind of boost what you're trying to do in your game. Just a phenomenal hand management puzzle. And hand management is by far one of my favorite mechanics in the game. So that's one of the reasons Concordia hits for me. Now the other thing you have going on is you're trying to manage your little stall of resources. You have limited space for your resources, so it is very restrictive. Like you can't just hoard resources to build whenever you want. You are doing some pretty painful calculations. I'm not gonna lie. Like this can be where people have a bit of AP, is like being like, especially when you take that market action, you're selling or you're doing a trade action and trying to like sell and buy goods, and you're like, well, do I need 1 brick or do I need 2 bricks? Do I need 1 wheat or do I need 3 wheat? And like those little calculations of trying to figure out what you need to store in your little storehouse, it can be incredibly painful. And like, yeah, I've definitely run into AP problems in this game with some people. But it is so good because the thing you're trying to do is you're trying to build these little houses, like maybe these trading huts or something, kind of like Orleans or whatever. But every time someone builds somewhere, the next house built becomes more expensive. So you can only build once in each location, but each player can build at a location. And yeah, that you're basically building there, and then that's becoming more expensive for the next player. And that price increase is so painful because trying to manage those limited resources that you have, that limited amount of money that you have, trying to be like, and trying to optimize your actions. Like sometimes like you're trying to build twice in a turn, but you're like, well, I'm short 1 coin. How do I get that 1 coin to be able to do this action? So a very tense game of managing your just storehouse of resources, plus managing that puzzle of where can you position your workers on that map to be able to build and to be able to block people out and be able to guarantee yourself positioning on that map. Now, the last part of this that stands out to me is the scoring, because the scoring is based on basically you're recruiting citizens. There's like the citizen cards, you can add more cards to your hand, change up the actions that are available to you, but each one of those citizens is going to have an alignment to a certain god in the game. And each of those gods, like Jupiter or Venus or whatever, or Mercury, they're all going to have different objectives that they're going for. It's going to be like, oh, build in each territory or something, or build, I don't know, yeah, various scoring possibilities. And if you have multiple of those cards, they act as multipliers. So essentially, like you have 3 Venus cards, you're really trying to go that Venus strategy. You're trying to achieve that Venus strategy so you can have that big multiplier, 3 times whatever you achieve for those scoring points. So you're trying to say like, I want to collect the correct cards to go for my strategy that I'm going for in this game. And now this is the part where people tend to not wrap their heads around the first time they play it. They don't realize how important it is that you kind of choose a strategy and really define your gameplay around that strategy, because those multipliers for those points can be such a big deal. And then also sometimes just taking cards to block players from achieving those multipliers. Like some of those strategies feel like, oh, I can't let you have that card because if you get that card, that's just going to be worth too many points for you. So I feel like you can do some of that kind of hate drafting or hate purchasing. But once again, buying those cards is going to cost you something, and that can just be too restrictive for you. So maybe you can't block that person out because that resource management puzzle is so aggressively tight. Yeah, so Concordia, watch, Shut Up and Sit Down's review of it. Like, they crushed it. So it's just a phenomenal game. My favorite beige game that I own. And I need to get back to the table. Let's move on to a very non-beige game for the final game in this video, and this one is going to be Fractured Sky. So Fractured Sky is a game from Ivy Studios, who is a graphic design studio, and they just make beautiful productions. Questionable games. I don't have a great time with all of their games. Played a few of them now, and yeah, they've had some misses. But Fractured Sky, I think, is just phenomenal. I absolutely love the gameplay of Fractured Sky. It is a area Combat game, you're basically going to be removing your units at the end of every round. You're going to play over 5 rounds. You have a couple things going on where you are trying to do a bit of a deduction puzzle on trying to figure out where the Starfall tokens are going to be. Starfall is going to be victory points, and basically you want to control zones at the end of a round to acquire the Starfall. Basically, the person that has the most power in the zone, they're going to take the first reward, which is the Starfall if present. But you also have a bit of a resource management thing going on. There's a tiny Euro-ness going on there where you want to win different areas to be able to gain resources. Like you want to gain wood, or you want to gain ore, or you want to gain gold. And all this stuff is going to have different effects in the game. Like you can build up like markets, or you can build up fortresses. Those fortresses are going to add to your strength in the regions that the fortresses are connected to. And there's a limited number of spots that you can build in. So you want to be kind of that first one to build, to take control of those zones that have the most connections, because there's a limited number of connections for each one of these zones. And some of them are going to be a little more flexible than other ones. So locking down those areas early in the game can be an important, can be a valuable strategy in the game. But I will say that you can have a strategy where you just don't even bother with any of that, and you go for just straight up using your airships. Because your airships, you're going to be, now I have the deluxe version, I'll call that out. I got this in a swap. Well, I think I traded like 5 or 6 games for this one game. I don't know. Like, it's pretty expensive. But the deluxe version comes with these awesome airships with magnets, and you get to magnetize the power token to it. Now, the retail version, I think, just has like cardboard chits with the power token on the, or power on the back. It doesn't look as pretty, but you know, it's functional. I do think the deluxe version does make the game stand out a little bit more. But essentially, your airship, you have these power tokens behind your screen, and they're numbered 0 to 10. You're gonna take one of those power tokens attached to your airship and put it out on the map. And that's gonna be a secret power for that airship. Now, there's a rule on how much power you can have. I think you have, I want to say 3 airships, and their total power on the board they have to sum to 10 or less, or else you get a penalty. So people know, and they're, like I said, you have tokens 0 to 10, and the number 1 token and the number 10 token both have a white border, or a different colored border. So people know if they see that white border come out, they're like, oh, that is your 1 token or your 10 token. And now if it's your 10 token, that means your other 2 airships have to be zeros. If it's your 1 token, that gives you a little more flexibility. And people are trying to judge who you are. They're like, hey, you always put your 10 token out, so that is obviously your 10 token, your other 2 airships are your zeros, which means I can easily just go in here and take over that area with like my 1 airship, and you lose those areas. But yeah, maybe you're bluffing and you're saying, oh, that's my 1 token, and I put a 7 and a 2 over in these other 2 areas. so this is where you get that double think, you get that bluffing, you get that I feel like just fun interactions at the table of trying to judge other players and judge their intentions and try to figure out what they're doing, because the other thing is that you don't know where those Starfall are going to be. Unless you take the scout action, you can actually see where those Starfall are going to land. You have these hidden cards. So you can actually see like someone else scout something, and then maybe they put out their airship on an area, and you know they scouted a region, and you're like, oh, so you put your airship over there, so there must be a Starfall over there, right? So now I'm going to compete for that, and I don't need to scout that because you've just revealed that information for me. But maybe they're bluffing. You don't know. Either way, I love the interaction in this game. I love how it plays out. Just trying to judge another player's intentions. And like I said, those games with those double think, and trying to figure out these puzzles that other players are putting out in front of you. It has a very simple rule set, and just so I love that it's easy to play and has that strong player interaction in it. Yeah, so Fractured Sky, I could say more good things about this, but I think I'm just gonna leave it there. I have a blast playing it. Oh, last thing I'll call out is I think it plays best at 3 players. I just say it plays quickest at 3 players. Like the game is a little snappier at 3 players. It doesn't drag as much. I played it multiple times at 5 players though, and I really do love playing it at 5 players, but I do feel like it can kind of drag towards the end of the rounds. Like it does get a little slow. And I feel some players can kind of they can feel like they're out of the game, because in the first rounds, like if you lose every battle, you're like, I'm not getting any Starfall, and you can go into the final round with like 2 Starfall and other players have 5, and you can be like, I'm out of this one. But that last round can be so incredibly swingy, because basically the point value, or the available points ramp up per round. So in the first round, there's only like 2 points available. In the final round, there's like 7 points available. So you can have a pretty swingy round in those last phases of the game, especially if you've been doing your work and preparing. Like I played a strategy where I've seen the strategy win where someone just they build up their infrastructure and kind of get no points in the beginning, and then they get all their points in like the last 2 rounds. And I've done the strategy where I race that first set of rounds, and I didn't build up any infrastructure, and I managed to pull off, I think I pulled off the win in that game by kind of winning in those like first 3 rounds like heavily and kind of protecting my lead in that last round. Either way, yeah, just it's such a fun puzzle, such a fun way to do a game with those hidden airship powers and trying to judge another player's intentions. So that is my number 11. That is going to do it for this video. So we are done with my numbers 20 to 11 in this video. And yeah, we have one more video to go. But thank you for watching this one. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I will talk to you next time.